Hey, everybody, Reverend Rob here. Stay tuned on this edition of Tarot with an Attitude. Taking a little sidetrack. Want to introduce you to my beautiful and powerful guest, Chasity Munoz. She is an ex-competitive gymnast, got into a medical assistant field, but somehow stumbled into addiction, and now she's trying to shed light on it. So hang tight, don't go anywhere. The Rev and this young lady, we're going to have a talk. This is a subject near and dear to my heart. Hold on. This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Tarot with an Attitude. I am your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. Bangarang, we are here today with a special guest, Chasity Munoz. Chasity and I have known each other off and on, but we've never physically met for quite some time through my original shows of Tarot with an Attitude and then doing some work. And you know what? I never knew this young lady had the past she's going to share with us now. It's very brave, okay? But she was talking the other day on Facebook about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and that is addictions, how to get rid of them, and what the world is doing about it. So I'm just hang on. Let me bring her in. And here we go, everybody. Welcome, Chasity Munoz. Bangarang. What's happening?
Bangarang. Hi, everyone. I forgot about Bangarang, Rob.
I know. I'm trying to get it back. We're building the tribe again.
Yes, we are.
First off, Chasity, I want to ask you real quick because it's hard. A lot of people lead up to this. But one of the things that you were very brave about was putting it out there to everybody. I'm a recovering addict. Okay. What happened? How did that occur?
Okay. Right. Addiction has run in my family, right?
Okay.
So my mom's told me stories about her mother, her having memories of Valium bottles being all over her dresser and just having her own experiences. I didn't know anything about that until here recently. My mom did really good about kind of keeping that stuff from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom struggled with addiction as well. And then I kind of started coming into around 16 or 17, just, it was environmental, just things taking place in my life. I wasn't being protected. We were all just existing at the capacity that we could exist at. And, being surrounded by addiction will kind of take you down. And I was dealing with a lot at home and I wasn't being protected. And I just started running away and started hanging around with the wrong crowd. And, I just wanted to it was like I invited the chaos in. I completely invited the chaos in. I had no love and respect for myself. It was like if trouble was there, I was seeking it out. I was smelling it out for 20 years of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's funny because we all talk about that and people talk about their stories. And one of the things as an ex-addictions counselor, I do more coaching and thing now, but I actually ran a medically assisted treatment unit for opioid addiction, as you and I talked about when we reconnected.
Right.
Mine was a Subutex clinic, Suboxone, Subutex. We did strictly the Subutex, but it was a state-funded program. One of the things that I really learned in talking to people to get support for the program, and we'll go more into that program, I'm not entirely in agreement with it, folks, so hang on, don't make any snap judgments yet, okay, was in all the people I dealt with. I never dealt with anybody that woke up and said, hey, I think today I'm going to become an addict.
No.
It just doesn't happen that way.
No.
But I think a lot of people that haven't had to deal with that aspect of their life,
Mm-hmm.
they think, well, that's just their nature.
Right.
And it's not, okay? It's always some other thing building in that. So when what can I ask, what was your drug of choice?
Oh, yeah. So, I did everything, I really did everything. If it was there, I was going to do it and I was going to put myself. But the one thing that really grabbed me, that really got me physically hooked, I did it all, I've done meth, I've done every pill you can think of. I've had GHB slipped in my drink. I did ecstasy when I was like 16 years old. I went on a wild ride with ecstasy, but the one thing that really grabbed me, and I'm still fighting this fight even still today, is opiates. I got hooked on pain pills, which led to, me taking like 10 and 15, even more sometimes a day. And then at some point I was put on Suboxone, because one Suboxone versus 15 pills a day seemed to make more sense. But now, about 5 months ago, I decided it took me a long time to wean myself off of all these meds. I was on Xanax because I went through chemotherapy a few years ago. So they kept me on Xanax. I was on Adderall. I was on Ambien. I was on Suboxone. I was on all of that stuff for years. And I just it took me a long time to rid myself of all of that. And then I actually quit cold turkey, went back on Suboxone. And then, I just got off, and it's taken me some time to get off of that. So,
Okay, real quick, folks, before you dive off of here, it's very important. Did you hear the part? She said cold turkey, but it took her a long time to wean off these drugs.
mm-hmm.
You cannot just stop. You will cause yourself harm. You will make yourself sick. If you are on something, seek help. Start weaning down. I know it's one of those first things that you want to do is just stop it and get your life back when you're ready to make the jump. But particularly if you're dealing with antidepressants, things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
you will take them, stop taking them, and you will plunge into a deep spiral because it's all chemical and it's not your fault. So yes, don't get impatient. Don't try to jump the gun too quick, because you can cause yourself some problems. There's my little, everybody be safe, do whatever, I'm not telling anybody to quit cold turkey. And like you said, what's that?
I did. When I first stopped, I quit cold turkey, and I couldn't function. It was 2 months. I couldn't function. So yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a rough ride, and there's a way to come down from it without having to go through that part of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things you said, these Suboxone clinics, and I feel like we legitimize these things by saying, well, she's on 1 pill a day versus 12 pills a day. She's getting them prescribed.
Right.
So a doctor's doing this. So it's okay. But we never cured the problem. We just switched to the drug.
Right.
And that always disturbed me about the Subutex, because the Subutex was the injection. Okay. And I know people right now are going, what's this got to do with tarot? You'll find out. Everybody hang in. I will be doing a reading, and I'll be doing a reading for people who are dealing with somebody on an addiction, and for those feeling addicted, because, man, and Tiffany, when you and I first met, you had a memory pop up about you asking me for a reading, and it was a healing reading. And I found out, all right, I'm jumping ahead. Let me ask you a question. Okay. Because I'm an expert from one end, you're an expert from the absolute user end of it.
That's right.
And I don't mean that in a bad term.
No.
Okay? How many times did you attempt to quit before you were successful?
Oh, jeez. I don't even know if I lost count. It was just 20 years of just complete chaos, and just until I just kind of, it was a big spiritual awakening. But I mean, multiple times. I went to a few rehab centers, and it just didn't take. There was something that just didn't resonate with me about going in these meetings and saying I'm an addict 5,000 times. I'm not going to do that. My body's listening. So it was just, it was just 20 years. I don't know how many times.
Okay. But the point being is you tried repeatedly, because, and I hear this a lot. Most people, they do try and they fail. But for some reason, with an addict or with an alcoholic, they go through rehab, they fail, we're ready to throw them out. Well, you just didn't apply yourself. Well, you know what? The last time I checked, I've been on as many diets as you have tried to quit addiction. Atkins, Hollywood, you name them. I've been there, and I've done them 2 and 3 times. We hear the same thing over and over again. But nobody told me to stop trying or that I was worthless.
I love it.
Because I failed. All right, we'll get back on the horse, try it again, try a different program. But for some reason with addicts, we're wanting to throw them out with the bathwater. And I don't, hey, they want to try. How do you feel about forced intervention?
I don't know how I feel about that. That's just, you have to be ready. That was something I wanted to touch on a little bit. I went through
Good.
those rehab treatments and I just was not ready. You have to really be ready. And if you've been fighting it for the longer that you've been fighting it, the deeper you're going to have to dig.
I agree. I agree. And one of the things is I see people spending thousands and thousands of dollars to some of these like star-clad rehab treatments, I literally watched a guy leave our treatment center and, oh, my mom's paying for it. And a limo picked him up. Okay.
Oh,
And you're like, okay. And everybody's like, he's doing great. I'm like, he's in a rehab center with a buffet. Who cannot be successful there? Wait for them to leave. Forced rehab, and you said it, you hit it right on the head, does not work.
no.
It doesn't work until that person wants it. Like screaming at somebody about smoking, they're not going to quit until they're ready to quit.
That's right. Some of these rehab centers too, Rob, are, set up really to kind of make you fail, really. I mean, one of the rehab centers I went into, there were people dropping left and right. So,
Right. And one of the things I got called down on, well, I didn't get called down on it, but had to question it, was because I always question AA,
Yep.
and I'm like, and my boss comes in and says, I heard you're kind of down in AA. I said, you mean AA, the cult? Like, yeah, that one. And you know what? AA has helped millions of people.
It has.
I don't want to take anything away from them. Okay. But they started as a very faith-based organization. And one of the things is, so therefore, to really be successful, they were kind of forcing people into their whole belief system.
Right.
And you know what? Coming up as a Baptist preacher's kid and having that crap jammed down my throat, there are a lot of things from my religious background I fully believe, and I love God, love the universe, love the mother, the energy, and everything else.
That's right.
But why does one depend on the other? It doesn't have to, because we were made as strong individuals. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that resonates deeply. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've got one message you want to say today and say, listen, folks, listen, what would that be?
Give yourself grace. If you're the person that is battling addiction and it's not going to happen overnight. You have to learn to just be patient and be graceful with yourself. It's a process. It's not perfection. I kind of slid backwards, if you will, a few times just because your body is just so uncomfortable. And it could be easy to do that, especially when you have a solution to what could, a pill or whatever to make you feel better. Just be graceful with yourself, love yourself. And if you have a person in your family that is suffering from addiction, please try to be as understanding and compassionate as you possibly can. If they're doing too much harm and you're noticing that it's causing energy draining in you, then you love them from a distance, but all they need is support where they're at. So
that is so powerful. Thank you so much.
Right.
And people need to hear that from somebody who experienced it, especially my enablers. You want to help your kid. That's your child. That's your love. That's your life. That's your flesh, your blood. I will do everything I can. But sometimes we help so much, we keep giving them a soft place to land. And sometimes
that's right.
You got to let your kid fall off the bike.
Tough love.
It doesn't mean you don't love them. Like you said, tough love. But I think that's become an overused thing. You're right. But that's what it is. I love you, but I love you so much. This is the life. I don't want to watch you do this to yourself. So I've got to let you go. If you ever need help, call me.
Yeah.
But it's going to be limited on what type of help you need, that type of thing. That's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. I'm dealing with something like that with someone kind of close to me right now. So yeah, I don't turn my back. I'm just there. I'm just supportive. Right. But that's all you can be,
That's it. Some of the most successful recoveries I've seen is mom, and it was particularly mom, finally said, that's enough. You got to go. To an older child, I'm not talking about to a juvenile or something like that, but to a 20-something, 30-something, 40-something year old person that's still hanging at the house, you're not helping them.
No.
And they had to go live in the street for a while. My kid will never be homeless. Well, sometimes you got to remember they're an adult. That's their choice.
Right.
And you got to say, I'm going to honor you. You do more love to them by going, you know what? Hey, I'm going to support you. Go.
Yeah.
And let's make sure that's what you really want. I remember at one point, one of my boys was like, I'm going to be an Air Force, or not Air Force, he's in the Air Force now. I'm going to be a sniper. Okay.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So we had this huge oak tree out by the front yard. And I'm like, here's what I want you to do. 3 days, sit under that tree. Don't move. No nothing. No AC. No heat. No, you got to pee. You pee right there. 3 days, And I said, and you know what? I'll help you. I'll put you through all the classes, everything else. And you know what? He never even tried it. You don't realize what it takes. Folks, sometimes people don't realize what it takes until you help them see what they're really doing for themselves. And some of that's by you're not living on your own. Because, Chastity, would you say it's true that sometimes they have a false evolution of I'm taking care of myself?
Oh, yeah.
Really not.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even me, right?
Okay. All right. So you experienced that?
I mean, yeah, let me just make sure I'm understanding the question here. Someone thinks that they're doing self-care, but they're really not putting their self first and taking care of their self first. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to completely.
And when the addiction sets in, we get this false image in our head of who we actually are.
Oh, yeah. That's been the most interesting thing for me, because it took about 4 years, and I'm just now kind of coming out, like I'm ready to go and make friends, this new version of myself, right?
Yeah.
But I've become incredibly spiritual, and it's like I'm trying to understand like boundaries and what conversations I can have with what people, and right. So it's been interesting for sure.
What do you think? I know this with the Subutex clinics, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The first question I asked when I was asked to step in, and I'm like, okay, how long is the program? What's our step down program?
Okay.
And you know what I found out? As long as the state was funding it, there was no step down program. We're just going to change the drug they're addicted to. But they can function better. They're not, sitting in a closet, drooling on themselves or out in the street or whatnot. They can function, but they're now still a functioning addict.
Right.
But we haven't done anything to truly separate them. Say, now we've got you functioning, you're moving. We're going to keep using this while you build up, you get a job, you get some self-esteem, things like that. But somewhere my opinion, you tell me, I feel like there needs to be a weaning off point of even the Suboxone or the Subutex.
100% there needs to be, but they're not willing to do it, because there were so many times that I told the doctor, I want to come off of this, and he would not minimize my dosage. I just started lying to him and telling him that I was taking whatever it was he was giving me, because he would not take me off of it. So right. Yeah, 100%. And I do believe that they get you. And they had counselors there. Never once did I speak to a counselor. Never once.
Really?
Never.
That was a requirement where we were at. You had to come see me, one of my other people. I had peer specialists, things like that.
No.
But that was an actual requirement of the state program. And so they're not doing anything to help somebody adjust or do anything. Wow.
No, they're just claiming you have a counselor, they assign you one, but you never sit and talk to them about what's going on, and you know what else too, Rob? All those counselors, or at least mine, are on Suboxone too.
See, and that's more of a peer specialist. That's not a counselor.
Right.
Okay. I feel what you feel, so we can relate.
Right.
So there's probably no real education about what's going on upstairs or anything else. So because we had all 3 levels, but at some point you had to come see me once a week.
Okay? Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, I stayed busy, but that's where I knew it. And that's where I learned, that's where Tarot with an Attitude came from. Okay. Because I was talking to these people and saying the same crap they hear over and over and over again. And finally it dawned on me, these people aren't first timers in. This isn't new. They can quote the good book, everything, all the levels back. They know it better than I do because they've heard it so much. How are we going to make a difference? And finally, when I looked at the first one and I said, well, how the fuck is that working out for you?
Right.
And they were like, nobody's talked to me that way before. I know. So let's talk like we would in the street. Hey.
Yeah.
Did that work?
Right.
Why didn't it? Did you really think it would? And we broke it down. And then I started interjecting tarot and oracle cards without them knowing it, because it gave me another way to have a whole open discussion on a personal level.
I love that.
Yeah, they would come in, my crystals would be all over my desk, my aromatherapy was going, and everything else. And people, black tourmaline is one of my favorites for protection, rejecting negative energy. I have had so much negative energy in my office that I have had tourmaline bust on its own because the negative energy hit it so hard it was bigger than that stone could carry. I've had it break in my pocket, different things, because of the anxiety, the stress, and things that come along. These people are dealing with so much more than what a non-addict really wants to realize.
Right.
And they need your love. I in no means want anybody to stop loving anybody. And I think that's important, is that we embrace them and understand love is an important part of this healing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more. 100%. Yeah. That's actually something I'm kind of like discussing with my son. He's kind of having these same experiences of a mutual family member. And I'm like, I know it's disappointing because this, he's a bigger figure, like an uncle type figure, and I'm like, but you just have to love him from a distance and just be there and be glad it's not you that's having the dark swallow you whole, so that's
right.
Right.
And it's funny, they know that, and we hear that. It's hard to tell it when it's a loved one.
I know.
Because one of the biggest things, whether I'm talking addiction or not, is a lot of times in the cards, and I'm gonna pull a card here in a minute. Let's see what we've got going here, because some of the things you're talking about is actually really resonating with me, and I want to see what the energy is. Okay, and I know you're curious about it too.
Oh, I love it.
But one of the things is to understand, sometimes I'm telling people, if it doesn't serve you, you need to walk away. And sometimes that's family.
Yeah.
Our family can hurt us as much as they can help us.
Right.
And if you don't have the right person, and if that family member is dragging their negativity into your life, I'm going to do this again here real quick because this is important. Okay. And you tell me where I'm off base or if I'm not. When that family member is dragging their crap into your life, it's kind of like being on the airplane. The thing falls out. You're supposed to put the oxygen mask on yourself. You've got to save yourself so you can save somebody else.
That's right.
Do you not feel that that's important? Do you feel that same way about people in addictions and the people in their lives?
That's such a great question. And this is perfect. Let me get into this. Yeah, 100%. Because let me tell you, I care for my mother, and she fell 60 feet over a balcony 10 years ago. A palm tree caught her fall. So these doctors have, legitimate reason to shove medication down her throat. Just a few weeks ago, we encountered a few hiccups of over medicating, which can be easy to do whenever you are suffering from the pain that she endures. And we were dealing with over medicating, and it was really draining my energy. And I had to say, look, I'm fighting my own battle. And if we can't do something different here, I'm going to have to move on, and you're going to have to find somebody else. Right. But the doctors took away the oxycodone, and the 180 that has happened with her has been profound. So amazing what happens, when they decide to take away the problem, right? That they're claiming is fixing. And what she's noticing now is that all that being on all that would set her back. So now she's really having to dig deep and pull herself out of that. So,
and folks, I want you to understand, I witnessed what she's talking about firsthand. A lot of heroin addicts did not start as heroin addicts. They started because of the way the state, and I will go with Florida, but I see this happening in other states, okay, handled the opioid crisis. There were pill mills, everything else. And the government did just what we always do: ready, fire, aim. So now they started accusing the doctors. And you know what? A lot of these people still needed their medication. They were on it for a legitimate reason.
Right.
But they needed some other methods too.
Right.
But one of the things is, so the doctors all started getting panicked. They put these people on it, and then they just took it away. Yep. No, you got to go. And they were actually telling people, you need to go check into rehab and come off of it. You created the problem.
That's right.
You created that problem. So literally, I did some of my internships in a trauma center, and you and I have some ground there on, you did urgent care, things like that. But I was in an actual trauma center hospital doing social work. And I'm dealing with 70-year-olds, 70, that are coming in on overdoses. Okay. And I want to talk to you about Narcan too before we go. All right. That's going to be important to me. Okay. So help me remember my pea brain. Okay. And I'm talking to them, and he's like, look, I was hurting. The doctor wouldn't give me, and we're talking veterans, we're talking regular working class people that got hurt at the job, but now the doctor won't give me my meds anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still hurting and I'm withdrawing, and somebody walks up and says, for $12, I can get 3 pills worth out of a needle.
Yep.
And my pain goes away.
Yep.
And we literally, in trying to get the handle on the addiction process, it was handled incorrectly.
Yep.
And we created some addicts from opioids into actual heroin because it was cheaper than they could even get their medicine from because of the insurance company.
And you saw that comment that I got from just, a person out there that's like, oh, yeah, oh, please, you went in there seeking drugs, addict, blah. And listen, I don't get offended, because whatever it is that she experiences, her life has shaped the way that she thinks. But what that does is it drives me to want to shed light on this so that we can shift that perspective. We have been at war since the day we came out of this wound, and that opioid epidemic is part of the war.
Right. And now we've turned all these people to this, and welcome fentanyl. Okay. So that's why we have so many deaths and everything else. And some of these people, once they survive it, or they're like, oh, I'm better than that, it won't get me because I'm a pro, that false realization of who you are and your capabilities. And we got a lot of dead pros because they think that won't happen to them. Hey, I'm going to do this real quick, then we're going to come back and do the Narcan thing.
Okay.
One of the things I want to see right here, and I brought up some cards here. Y'all saw me shuffle and everything else. So these were legitimate cards. Okay. I got the 6 of Cups, first off. And you know what's about 6 of Cups? Cups is all about that subconscious creation and emotional, what you're dragging around. And one of the things is we need to recognize in the 6 of Cups, go back and look at our life. And there are memories that sometimes we do need to remember, this wasn't that good. Okay. This didn't work. And when you're dealing with addiction, so here's what I'm going to use this card on both sides of it. To the addict that you're recovering, hang in there, because the farther you get away from it and the more life comes in, okay, all you're going to want to remember is the good part of the addiction. Okay. So that causes your slip ups. Hey, when I was stoned, when I was plowed, I didn't hurt, and we go back to that. For the enabler, for the person dealing with them, yes, that's your child. They're not your child anymore. They are an adult. And you have to sometimes love them, but like Chasity said, from a distance. And you have to say, you know what? You want to hurt yourself? I love you so much. Go right ahead. I'm not going to watch it. All right. Then we've got the Knight of Swords. Oh my God, how this all blends. This in the head. A lot of this is getting your head wrapped around it and literally coming up with a strategy. Okay. To say, I'm just going to quit, man, you are going, get help. Find out what's going on, because we get into the Knight of Wands, 2 knights. All the knights are about, y'all need to move ahead. Enablers, you need to move on.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things is I love about this card, this knight, it's showing he's got all this help. He's fixing to charge off into the future. But these people ain't going with him. They help him up on the horse, but then they let go. And that's what everybody has to do. So my addicts that are feeling it, you need to talk to somebody, come up with a plan, write it down, make sure. But the first step is a step, period. Don't worry about step 2, step 3, step 4. Take that first step. Then finally, this is all about that fire, that passion. What do you want to be? You know, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
You got to move forward. But at the same point, it's your life. It's your dream. It's your choice. People will help you up on the horse, but they can't get on the horse with you. Diagram. Oh, man.
Ring.
That felt good. So,
Yes, I love it.
so got that. Okay.
I love that you do that, Rob. Do you, and I'm just going to chime in here. I do apologize, but do you do lessons? Like I really want to open up that channel with me, you know, as I dry myself out, I'm really stepping into, and I'm very sensitive.
I have been asked over and over and over to do lessons. I do have a book. It's called Tarot Simplified.
Okay.
Learn to read tarot in a day. It's on Amazon. You can look it up. Okay.
Perfect.
My wife's got manifestation books and journals. Okay. Different things. But you know what? Yes. When we get done here, I'll talk to you because you've got to be about the 8th person in 2 weeks to say, do you teach class?
There you go.
And so you're talking to me just like I talked to you about the whole spirit medium stuff and everything else. You know what? You got to claim it.
That's right.
And I do. This is something that's near and dear to my heart.
And you're
and helps people find a way.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Of course.
Chastity, if somebody can get hold of you, if they want to get hold of you, what's the best way?
So you mean like on social media? I'm on
social media. I don't know if you want to give an email out or
yeah, I'll give my email out. So my first name is Chasity, CHASITY .Munoz, MUNOZ @gmail.com. And you know, if you believe it or not, I've had people reaching out to me that have been fighting the same battle or has had a family, and what can I do? And will you check up on me? I mean, I've put myself out there, and I've actually helped of quite a few people and plan to help more. But on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is Chasity Munoz. TikTok is Chasity Munoz. Instagram, however, is Chassie32. And YouTube, I'm on Unveiling Addiction. I just started a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I'm trying to shed light on addiction. So.
And folks, I'm going to be doing an interview with Chastity on her channel. So make sure you mark that down, look it up, because it's going to be probably more clinical there than it is spiritual here. But we'll talk about it. Yeah. Chastity, one last thing I'd like to talk about is the Narcan.
Let's do it.
How do you feel about Narcan?
I have not had my own experiences that I remember. I mean, I did have an experience of an overdose, and I think that's what they used to kind of bring me back quite a few years back. But I don't know. I know they always say keep it on you when someone in your family member is using opiates. But do you mind that I ask why you ask?
Yeah, no, I know, because I have mixed feelings on it. Okay. I know it has saved some lives. All right.
Okay.
But I'm asking to what end? Because for people that already feel they're invincible, now we've given them another invincibility shield.
Wow. Yep.
And is that actually causing a problem? Because I have literally had somebody on the phone with me. I got them into a rehab center, got it cleared out, everything set up. We were fixing to start counseling. They were crying, using help. They slipped backwards. Somebody Narcaned them. And they thought, oh, well, I don't need to quit.
That's so, I never thought about it.
2 weeks later, I am at their funeral. And I have had people in my groups say, my doctor has told me we cannot Narcan you anymore. It's not going to work. You're building up an immunity. Now, I've never checked that out, but that's what addicts have told me. Right. So I didn't know if it gave them a false, because you know what, it works great on opioids, right? But fentanyl, it doesn't work.
Wow.
You know, and now there's no honesty among thieves anymore. In my day, in the 60s, okay, you knew your dealer, you knew what was in your stuff. It was an occasional weird thing, a hot shot or whatnot. Nowadays, there's no sense of community. You're on your own, I'm on my own, and all I'm trying to do is make as much money as I can. So if I can cut this crap with a bunch of other crap, they don't care.
That's right. That's right.
That's why so many people are ODing right now. So you need to understand, you think you trust your dealer. You cannot. Not in today's world. Okay.
No. No, it's a good time that I got off when I did, because it's starting to be pressed. Pills are just fentanyl. One what looks like a Vicodin is actually pressed with fentanyl and it's killing people.
Killing people.
I do kind of want to touch on this just because you had mentioned this. So, Suboxone, I have to tell you, is they put you on Suboxone to come off of heroin, to come off of taking 20 Vicodin a day, to come off of, that's what they use methadone and Suboxone for. But I will tell you that coming off Suboxone, this Suboxone that's supposed to be the solution to this problem is 10 times worse than coming off of heroin, 10 times worse than coming off of pain pills. So you think because you're being prescribed something that has a long extended life, 36 hours, that you've got the solution to your problem. You don't. It's making it 10 times harder for you to cut the shit.
Right. Because one of the real things about it, I think, is you stop realizing you're still dependent on a drug.
Right.
It's just, okay, well, really, I'm fine.
Right.
And it's actually like a mental patient that will take their meds. Okay. Oh, life's good. I don't need this anymore. And they stop taking their drugs.
That's right.
You are right. I have heard, seen from the Subutex. Subutex is the liquid form of Suboxone, everybody. So you need to understand that's where we're coming from. Okay. Mm-hmm. I have seen people talk about that coming off of it. It would have been easier if they'd have just gone through the withdrawal process again under a program, something where somebody can help you make sure you're safe or whatnot. Always have somebody there to guide you. But it was easier coming off of that than coming off the Suboxone. It even took longer.
Yeah. Oh,
Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I have never personally been hooked on heroin. That was kind of where I drew my line. I'm not going to lie. I've experienced it, but I knew that if I introduced that into my life, that'd be game over. Right. So, but I have had people, since I've decided to put myself out there on this journey, tell me I battled both Suboxone and heroin, and Suboxone was harder to come off of than heroin. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Chasity, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Folks, she gave you her information if you want to talk to that source. Everybody's got my information. It's all down there if you need to talk to me. Yes, we got into a very literal problem. We did do some cards. I want you to understand, though, this whole epidemic not only hurts on the physical level, it hurts on the spiritual level.
Yeah.
It takes who you are and hides it. So it's very important that we understand that. Okay. So folks, here we go. You got to put up with the rev, man. I'm going to get on a tangent on some things. Take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. Bangarang.
Bangarang. Thank you for having me on. I know this is a heavy topic, but it needs to be discussed because we're collectively healing. So thank you.
You are welcome. Have a great day. Bangarang, everybody. This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee.